Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of American Gothic. So before I say anything else, this might come off perverted, but I couldn't help but notice it. It's literally all over the episode. This is probably the most sex-filled episode so far. I mean, it's like literally everyone's having sex. First, Naomi and Allison, which was pretty kinky, getting tied up and everything. And then Cam and Sophie, and then Garrett and that doctor lady, and then Tom and Allison. I really like the fact is when they hooked up, it was just like, oh yeah, oh, this was Naomi's, huh? I was like, oh, he's about to flip out or something. I was like, but in the back of my mind, I was like, you're going to be cool with it, aren't you? He's like, oh, tell me more. I was like, oh, of course he would. It's just like, there was so much sex. There was even the fact is you saw Allison and Naomi making out, and someone's watching them. Was that someone we knew? I didn't know who that was. It was just, you saw the reflection. I was like, is that someone supposed to know? I was like, at first I was like, oh, is that Tess? It's like, no, that's not Tess. Like, who is that? It's just some random person. Not unless, just interesting, what if that's actually Naomi's significant other that we haven't met yet? What if she's she's cheating on her significant other just like Allison is? I felt like that was going to, I'm surprised that hasn't, I feel like that's going to lead to something like, Tom knowing about their little thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's going to lead to complications later on just because it seems, like I brought it up before, I think Naomi's going to be a little possessive when it comes to Allison. Maybe that's not the case, but it's like, it'd be very interesting if that person was Naomi's significant other. It'd make things very, very interesting. I did like the fact is that Tom and Allison had to reluctantly work together because Allison's dad's company is being sued by the lady who lost her leg during when the cement broke apart and fell. So she's basically suing them, and they had to reluctantly work together because it's like, yo, we can't, At first, Allison was basically like, go ahead. She knew that Tom owned the company, so she's like, I don't care. He's just like, oh yeah, let the lady sue. It's like, it's no longer our problem. It's no longer our family business. And then mom's like, oh yeah, but there's skeletons. Those skeletons end up being the fact is that they paid off a crap ton of contractors to kind of skim across the work. So basically a lot of the cement wasn't the best quality. It wasn't the best work it could have been possible. It's just like, yeah, use the cheapest amount of materials you can to get the job done. So this way we save like a boatload of money while we're doing it. Whether Allison's dad was specific behind it or those were decisions made behind his back, I don't know. Obviously mom knows about him because she brought it up. It's just kind of like, oh, don't let these skeletons get out of the closet. I'm sure there are other things too that she was like, because she was saying like, oh, that's the reason why she wanted to sell the company last episode was just because of those skeletons. Those were some of them, but I'm sure there are a lot more that she wants to kind of keep buried. It was those, but I'm pretty sure that's why she was so adamant telling Allison like, yo, we got to do something about this. I did like the fact is that when it came down to it, like when Tom and Allison tried to do that good cop, bad cop thing, and that lady's like, I'm not an idiot. It's like, you want me to settle? Fine. How about $15 million or I'm still suing your company? So Allison, looking into the files her and Tom were looking at, ended up finding out that one of the past contractors or whatever was the current mayor, the one that was blackmailing her last episode. So they reluctantly worked together, basically found a video of her being drunk. She's on probation, shouldn't be drinking. So I love the fact that it's like, we'll settle for $1 million, and you basically have to go on television and be like, oh yeah, thanks to the mayor and Allison basically and her family, just be like, oh, they're making sure that nothing like this happened again. It's like she's up there like, I don't know, it's kind of sad. I get it. I feel bad for you lost your leg, but at the end of it, it's just kind of like, it's not even just about your leg necessarily. It's just like you were just a little money hungry. It's just like, but the moment you're just like, oh, I'll take that $1 million. Because she was basically upset. She's like, I'm going to walk away with nothing. So, like I said, I understand you lost your foot, you want people to pay, but at the same time, it's like the fact that you want them to pay. It's not just like, oh, giving it to them for your leg. It's like giving it to them, but also making a lot of cash on the side. That's just how, I don't know. That's in itself, that's kind of a whole conversation on its own. Very interesting developments throughout the episode, though. We had, to me, probably the biggest development was the whole like Brady and Tess storyline, where we end up finding out because everyone's like, oh yeah, Gunther's the SBK, and it's just like I'm just like it's like obviously I was thinking like, oh, somebody murdered him, but then a theory came up this episode because it's like, oh wait, we looked into it, Gunther couldn't have been the killer because during one of SBK's killings he was in a hospital, he ended up getting like an upper body cast or something, so there's no way he would have had the flexibility to be able to like strangle someone, and so that removed him from it. But then Cutter, which that was in itself is another interesting thing. The fact is that Cutter and Brady were working together so well because obviously in the beginning of the episode they've been kind of trying to screw each other over because basically Cutter sent the cat lady to him just to kind of like, oh yeah, like they cut off my cat's tail, blah 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 blah, but she was the one that actually gave them a lead. I thought that was kind of interesting because I knew that cat lady had to serve some purpose. It's not like she's just that whiny cat lady neighbor. It's like, yes she is, but she's she's got dirt that they could use. It eventually led them to being like, oh wait, Gunther isn't a killer. But what I really liked about it is when we find out, it's like, oh, that's actually not Tess's hair that Brady had tested. And it's like, ooh, did they make a mistake? Did someone in the family switch the hair around because they found out what he was doing? I was thinking like, oh, mom must be behind her or something. And it's like, he's telling, what's her name, Dana, I guess she's the medical examiner, like, please cover for me. Basically, I want two things. Basically, if your wife or her family, what your wife ends up being connected to SBK, don't throw my name in here. 2, I want a boat. And he's like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, I want a boat. What kind? You'll find out eventually when I kind of make it out myself. But it's like, nope, it wasn't mom who did it. Tess herself did it. She planted it. It's like, I put it out there to test you. I'm like, wait, what? Tess is loyal. Why would you need to do that? And you got to admit, you put it out there. Like if it wasn't readily available out there in the open like that, he wouldn't have taken it most likely. It would have, but it's because you presented the opportunity to. It's like literally leaving $50 on this like cement, like on the ground and hiding around a corner. And the moment someone picks it up, you're like, thief. It's like, no, you set it up for me to like come here and take it. It's like, how am I a thief for picking up something I thought somebody just dropped? You set me up. That's my point. And then, like, I had to go over Brady on this. She's like, he's basically like, yo, you made me feel like crap that I betrayed you and you screwed me over from the beginning. You set me up to do that. I was like, wow. And he's basically going off from me like, you know what? If I find out that Cam or Garrett or anyone in your family is connected to SBK, I will make sure they go to jail. Really love that because I was wondering how this whole dynamic was going to play out. Now there's a huge rift between them. Before he would have been a little softer when it came to the family, but it's like if there's any lease, it's like, oh yeah, the family's behind that, their family's connected to this. He's going to go after them. No, like he's not going to hold any punches now because of what she did. It's just like we were going to start a family and everything. That's kind of the whole reason he was going to go home. It's like because they were going to get started on starting that family because the whole conversation she had with her mom. But I was just like, wow, dude. Tess really messed up on that, dude. Granted, they both messed up. They really both messed up because they screwed each other's trust over. But I'm saying, you put him in a situation like that. It's like he's trying to solve a case. I mean, and legitimately, he was trying to clear your family thing. That's the whole reason why he went through the whole thing. So, but the fact of the matter is, she wasn't open to being like, actually, Brady, I knew you were doing that. So she should have told him from the beginning. He legitimately told her he ran the DNA, so it's kind of like why she didn't actually admit anything did. She waited. She after all this time, she's like, oh, now I'm going to admit the fact is it wasn't my hair. It's like, what? And now he even brought it to her. It's like that's fraudulent evidence in an criminal investigation. Like, crap could go wrong. I could be like, he could be investigated, but like, oh, he's trying to cover up evidence, even though that's not what he was doing. He brought his wife's hair in just to prove that, hey, we're not connected to the killer. But now he threw it in her face, being like, yeah, Gunther wasn't the killer. So, and now Tess has to rattle with that, dealing with what just happened with her and Brady, plus knowing like, oh crap, maybe my family is connected to this. Like, out of anyone, Tess is the more one that kept wanting to dig further when everyone else kind of wanted to let it go. Because she was the one that's like, let's tell Brady about that. The bells. Mom was like, no. Allison was like, no. It's like, oh, why drag our names through the mug like that? It was Gunther. So, and being like, basically, Allison was like, oh, how can you be sure that you can trust? No, it was like, Mom, I think, Madeline was basically like, oh, how can you sure that Brady won't be out, more focused on trying to solve the case than looking out for us, looking out for you. And then that's when she agrees, like, oh, I won't say anything. But, now that that's out there, she's definitely going to be asking some questions. Also in this episode, the whole Cam situation with him and Sophie, like I said, brought up again, like freaking tons of sex, in their case, drugs and sex. And basically they met that the whole situation with the drug dealer and his name being Link. I did like this, like, oh, like from Zelda, and just basically like, yeah, Sophie owes me 4,000. Wait, what? Beats Cam up, and I did how that whole situation played out. I was like, wow, when you end up finding, like, because she was like, I'll find the money somehow, but Cam's like, no, I'll get it. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, like, is this what she was planning? Is she trying to get all close to him because she knows she owes that money, and she was trying to, manipulate him into offering to pay the money? Like, that's what legitimately went in the back of my mind. I was like, because like it seems too calculated, everything she does. It seems like one moment she might be doing things, because she legitimately cares about Cam, but on the other moments it's kind of like you're only concerned about yourself. Like you're kind of in your own spiral, and you don't want to be alone, so you're dragging Cam with you. It's just it's a very destructive spiral on both sides, not just her side but his side as well. And he ends up exploding later on, especially when he finds out that, like, oh, to pay off Link, she already paid him off. Oh, but not in a monetary sense. She slept with him, and it's like, wait, what? Cam lost his mind, saw a little bit of the darker side, picked up a pipe, started beating the crap out of him, went home and was like, what the hell are you doing? You think that's okay? He's like, look at our situation. I'm screwed up. You're screwed up. Our son is definitely screwed up. Something is really wrong with him. And basically just tossing crap around. It's just like his world is just kind of coming unraveled, just because he thought, with his own problems and everything, he thought, with the drugs and being with her, like maybe they could fix what's broken, but it's just like maybe things are so far broken that it's impossible to fix. I mean, Cam was doing good from what we could tell at the beginning of the series. Like he was a little less than a year clean, but then he found himself back towards Sophie and things kind of changed. It seems like she has no plans of getting clean. She's just kind of enjoying things the way they are. She wants Cam back, but I don't know. It feels like common sense will tell you, like, not to sleep with someone to pay off the debt, especially considering the fact that Cam told you he was going to get the money to pay it off. Maybe she just didn't believe him because it's like, okay, I know you're not going to deal with your mom, so maybe that's why. Or she just because she's just in her own head, just been like, yeah, she legitimately was like, oh, it's no big deal. It's a pretty big deal. So there's that front. Now, when it connected to that, I really like what Garrett did. That was very nice, from the whole brotherly thing, being like, yeah, mom, give me $4,000. She's like, what do you need $4,000 for? It's like, I've never asked you for anything. Stop asking questions. Give it to me. She's like, what are you going to do with it? Give it to Cam, and slap him on the back of the head and be like, yeah, don't mess up. It's just like, that was like our first time really seeing him being very brotherly towards Cam, because before now we've only seen him kind of really act like that towards Tess, but it was him being a big bro, being like, yo, what happened to your face, dude? And then taking care of him like that, it's just looking out for him. It's just almost like, wow. When he asked for the 4,000, you see Cam going like, whoa, dude, are you seriously doing this? That's like pretty awesome. Then there's the whole thing, Garrett's side of things, where he's basically stalking the doctor lady from last episode, the one who was an SBK her dad was an SBK victim. We kind of delved into that a little bit more, especially because the fact is, it's like Gunther was basically named the SBK killer and was like reported to be dead, which is very interesting. Maybe some news reporters ran that story, because remember, they were told, Cutter and Brady were told not to run that story until there was actual proof. And I actually kind of jumped away from that, but the fact of the matter is, the running theory is like Gunther was paid to kill himself, because it's like, okay, you kill yourself, you take the blame as being SBK, we'll make sure your family's taken care of. It's something that Cutter and Brady were going to look into. Really wasn't anything else said in the episode. And speaking of, because of the, Cutter even brought up the fact, it's like, oh, Brady, you're covering up evidence. That means like, oh yeah, I'm starting to get along with you now. It's like, I'm gonna have to report to you. Now that Dana's lodged for him, it's like maybe they'll continue getting closer. And just like, especially now that his relationship's kind of skewed with the family, maybe they'll finally be like matched. They won't butt heads so much anymore. Maybe not, because both of them are out there to trying to prove themselves, especially Cutter. She's just kind of like, Lieutenant, listen to me. I've got more experience. This kid, he's too attached to it. It's a conflict of interest because he's connected to the family. So I don't know. I'd be kind of interested to see where they go, whether they actually get closer, Because now maybe she'll be like, okay, I was wrong about you. It was like a mistake. Dana told me. Or maybe she'll see through it and be like, yo, that's total BS. I know you're having Dana cover for you. So, I mean, very interesting. But getting back to Garrett, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, I was saying, like, maybe just some random news reporter brought it up because they weren't supposed to say anything. But maybe enough time had passed by. They're like, okay, we're certain that Garrett was SBK. I don't know. Like, no one else really reported that, so I'm getting the feeling it was just some news that broke that news. And it's kind of sad because it's like, oh, she was super happy about it because he noticed it. He was like, why were you so happy? She's like, oh, my dad's killer's dead. You see it in Garrett's face, like he, you know he knows. He's just kind of like, yeah, it's sad that you think he's dead. He's still alive. So, I don't know. That, I mean, not to the point, like, it's just something you could see in his eyes, like, yeah, I'm obviously I'm not going to talk about it, but I know you're holding on to false hope right now. You're being happy, and that happiness is going to be taken away from you. They and themselves ended up having sex, so that was interesting. But basically, kind of started dating a little bit. Basically, they went out, had a picnic, talked a little bit more. Ended up finding out the fact is that she found her dad, and Garrett kind of brought up the conversation. He's like, yeah, SBK, I'm sure he wasn't thinking about you when he killed your dad. He didn't think about the fact is of how the lives of other people are going to be affected by the people he was killing. Like, she was like, yeah, he didn't think about the 16-year-old was going to find him on a Sunday morning. She's like, oh, you found his body. She was like, yeah. And basically, she's asking Garrett all these questions, but Garrett's kind of like, she's like, tell me a little bit more about you. You got your own baggage. And it's just like, that was as far as we got because, he still hasn't really talked. I'm surprised. I'm very curious to see if Molly will pop up again. Considering like what, finding out that mom basically paid her to kind of get back into his life. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be a thing or not. I did like the very end of the episode where it's kind of like, okay, they're kind of getting hot and heavy. She's turning around. He's taking off his belt and he's just kind of standing there quivering a little bit and he's clenching the belt and he's looking at her. That was the last shot we saw. Like I said, it's so blatantly pushing towards Garrett being the killer. It can't be him. But it's just like, it's because... To me, it's because Garrett is struggling with it. He knows what's going on. Like him holding that belt is just, and the fact is knowing that her dad was killed by SBK, it's too much for him to handle. That's what I'm thinking. Like I said, maybe at the end of the series, I'm completely proven wrong and it is Garrett, but like I'm currently just dead set on believing it's not him. I legitimately don't even know where to begin on guessing who it could be, whether it actually is someone from the family. Like I said, it might be someone connected to the family that are covering up because like there's so much that she's covering up. Because there's even that letter she got that was like of the flowers or whatever. It looked like a picture of sunflowers, and basically it had a message on it like, basically you come see me or I'll be coming to see you or something like that. That Madeline saw, and that was kind of the last we saw of that. So I was like, wow. So I don't know. Because I brought it up before, I do believe Garrett is getting close to her because he knows the truth about SBK, but he can't say anything because whatever it is that he knows, that his mom knows, could ruin everything. And it's like he doesn't want to hurt his little sister. And, in this case, Cam. Like I said, like this is kind of the first time seeing him really caring for Cam because he's kind of been very indifferent towards Cam, just like he has been for Allison. But granted, Allison, they're trying to have him arrested so he wouldn't show up at the funeral. So it's kind of interesting how Allison does everything. And like I brought it up before, she's very selfish. She's like, acts like everything she does is for the sake of other people. It's like, no, it's for the sake of expanding her own career because it's like, it's kind of interesting how both her and her mom are very similar because they're both very manipulative. They manipulate people very well. I guess if you want to get all political about it, it's like, well, she is a politician, so of course she'd be very good at it. I know, not going to go there, but even though I just did. Nevertheless, very interesting episode. So many developments. I'm very interested to see where we go, especially like I said with that whole Garrett thing at the very end. I'm interpreting it as that. I'd like to know your opinion about how did you interpret? Did you interpret it's like Garrett is dead set the killer? Like, who do you think is a killer? Like, throw some of your theories at me. I haven't really brought that up before, but I'd love to get your theories on who you think the killer might be. I couldn't begin to tell you. Obviously, it's point towards Cam, too, because Cam seems to have anger issues, have a bit of that darker side. Still don't know anything about whatever it was, that body he talked about in his therapy session. So, be very interested to see where everything goes next week. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. So next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.